Well, we made it. We'd like to welcome you to FreeStyle Friday. Brother Hatim live once again. I'm bringing you the best that I can. Bringing news, commentary, comedy, seriousness, spirituality, all of it. So please bear with us as we learn how to work this. As you notice in the background, I got a light music going, keep a rhythm going. Although my guests can't hear it, you could hear it. Trying to keep it hyped a little bit. Let me know what you think about the new sound. Now, as usual, before we start, I'm going to get into supporting those things that support me. First off, sending shouts out to Oxy Water, the world's first oxygen-enhanced mineral water. You got Oxy Water Black, Oxy Water Pink, Cherry Pomegranate, Island Citrus, Passion Berry. Check them out at www.tryoxywater.com. Also sending shouts out to Orange 82, who is graciously provide us with the music that you hear throughout the show and on the commercials, most of the music. Right now, the cut that I'm going on is something by somebody named James Johnson. What you need, I call it that surfing music. Get that surfing music, y'all, so you can stay up all night and stay on the internet. Check them out at www.orange82, electronic music label. And what better music to listen to when you surfing the net than electronic music? Next, I want to send shouts out to Shisha Lounge, 2369 North High Street. That's where we throw down at. I'm sitting up here right now, joined by my co-host, Brother Quasi. Come from his national travels and shit, and he's ready to do the show. He's getting prepared right now, and also sitting over listening to some Fela right now and making some music. Probably is the mysterious Sabak, and maybe he might bless us with a word or two in the conversations that we're gonna have. Remember, this is a show about emergence. Please, if you have a comment, feel free to hit me up at 614-594-9422. You can text me at that number, or you could call. If I can, I'll put you on air. More than likely, I can't at this point in time in our development. But I'll listen to your voice message and talk about that shit next week. All right, next thing I want to send shouts out to is Unidaji Capoeira, ran by Monitor Dentista. It's located in Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, Toledo, Chicago, Illinois, Decatur, Madison, and Decatur, Madison, Alabama. We have classes every week at the Millennium Community School. So come check us out. Also, be sure to check out New Harvest Urban Art Complex. You can look them up on the internet as well. Send out shots to Brother Kojo and Sister Tress, who up there working it out, bringing the arts to the community, as well as the beauty of urban gardening. Learn about that urban gardening, because we may need that shit soon the way things are going. Ha ha ha. Last but not least, be sure to check out my site, www.giannijourney.com, and also check out, some of my books. I won't talk about that right now. I'll talk about it a little bit later. So next on the mic, I'm gonna give it up for Brother Quasi so he can go on and talk with y'all, because y'all ain't spoke to Brother Quasi in a couple of weeks. So here you go.
Big brother Hatem out here still hosting poetry. What, you can't hear me? I'm screaming and shit. Oh, damn. I just got introduced to the mic. Y'all better be out there clapping. Hey, I ain't been on the show in a couple weeks. I apologize for my hiatus. You know how it go. I've been in the studio a little bit, making a little bit of music, taking some classes, doing my thing, just doing me out here in the community, in the classrooms, on the streets, wherever I might be. But yeah, some shit going on in the world, man. So, I'm just watching and taking notes and making observations and sharing with y'all the shit I see, asking questions. Y'all don't be hollering back at me or nothing like that, but we working on that. But yeah, I don't know. I've been seeing some shit, so we gonna see what's up. What's up?
Alright, starting it off today. Lord have mercy. Has it been a busy week? For all those that's been following the news, Supreme Court. That's right, the Supreme Court. Those old motherfuckers sitting up making judgments about shit have really, really opened up a can of worms all over the world. First, we had the DOMA Act. And people celebrating that, and maybe we might talk about that. Then, of course, we had where they voted down the Voters' Right Act, and they voted it down. And we could talk about that a little bit. And there's a whole bunch of news that we could talk about, and a whole bunch of other discussions we could get into. Now, let me get on some shit that's bothering me. It's kind of crazy to me in this world today how it seems that we're living in a world where let's say we're living in a country where not only we inspire motherfuckers who genetically might not even need to be here. I know it's wrong to say that, but we inspire them to have children. Now, I know this is kind of a right-wing conversation, but my question to Quasi and to some of my other guests that'll be showing up here soon is when is enough kids enough kids? Now, I'm experiencing people who have multiple children and don't got no goddamn job. And I'm wondering, how do we as American citizens feel about this issue? Because a lot of them are being supported by a lot of our tax dollars. Now, I'm kind of with the 3-strike rule. And I'm going to explain the 3-strike rule. First child, and it was an accident, we chalk it up to you not knowing it's a mistake. Second child, baby, we might, third one, without an explanation, you struck out. You don't get no money, you don't get shit. Because when is enough enough? How are we going to talk about future generations, but yet we're supporting a whole generation and raising them and allowing them and unleashing them in a system that we know is not doing anything for them? Now, I ain't talking about abortion or nothing. That's some other shit. But I'm just saying, when is enough enough? Because I'm going to say this. And this is something that I'm stuck on. In the black community, and this is probably true for all communities, we never have a child problem. We never have a black youth problem. We don't have a problem with our youth. We got a problem with the fucking adults. We got a bunch of irresponsible motherfuckers who think just because they're 21, they could do whatever they want. When in fact, adulthood is not about doing what you want. Here you go. I'm going to pass it on to Quasi because I'm going on a rant.
Yeah, you was going in a little bit. I was like, damn. I was wondering who you was talking about at first. I was like, oh shit, this can go in multiple directions. What class of people are we? So, after that little rant, I think my response to all that is, fuck it. Dicks and pussies. And they out there, and they looking for each other. And when they come into contact, shit happens. And I'm wondering, I want to ask you this question. I understand what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, and I understand how, you know, babies make, or irresponsible parents are a drain on tax dollars. I understand that, and I agree. So it give me two thoughts. First of all, if they don't get some type of supplement, subsidy, whatever you call it, then that's gonna push on the crime rate. You know, there's a lot of alternative things that could arise from that probably are negative. But the other side of that, I'm thinking the flip side, maybe the alternative. Are you suggesting that we might want to consider policies like in China, where you can only have one kid or something like that? Or once you get past that limit, then they take your kid, or your kid can't continue to live or something like that?
Nah, I'm not talking about that because it's America. It's a free country, just like I got the right to voice my opinion. I don't say we have no policy. I say we start figuring out how to produce responsible adults. Responsibility. Responsible. Be responsible for what your dick do. Be responsible for opening up your legs. Where's the responsibility? We got people sitting around here fucking on my dollar. You know what I'm saying? The economy is bad enough. And it ain't nothing we could do about probably this generation, but we can start educating the next generation so that we can get out of this. But I don't see no education going on far as dealing with a principle such as responsibility. Other than when it comes to paying taxes, and they took that responsibility away from you, didn't they? They just take that shit right before you get paid. You know what I'm saying? So no, I'm not saying there's no policy, because the fact of the matter is you can't legislate morality. We got a adult moral issue dealing with responsibility. And this is coming off my conversation last week about the shit that transpired during Juneteenth. So
you know how we like to break down words, and we get into words, you know. A word you used a couple times is responsibility. And the interpretation I heard of that word at a commencement speech, I heard the person delivering a commencement speech at a graduation. The word responsibility can be broken down to responding to one's ability. You know what I'm saying? So hold there. I know I'll be going off on tangents. I want y'all to stay with me on this. It's an experience I had that I had an injury, like an injury playing sports. I hurt my shoulder. And like for the first day or two, it was bad to where I was kind of concerned that I was going to be not able to use my arm for a while. And I got to reflecting on how my right arm and my left arm was made to complement each other. You know, the abilities that they have, like one functions based off of the functionality of the other one. You know, and I got to thinking about that in terms of people. And a lot of times we say shit like, if a person is not necessarily doing or reaching their capability, we'll tell them to pull themselves by their bootstraps or step it up. You can't depend on nobody but yourself and those type of things. But it seems to me that people are a communal species. Like, we were designed to cooperate. Like, a wolf hunting on his own is about to get fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Is it a wolf or a fox? Wolves hunting packs, right? Wolves hunting packs. There's a different word for wolves. When you have a group of wolves, it's wolves. And when you have one wolf, it's a wolf. It becomes a whole different thing when it's working in unity, in unison. So, like, when you say responsibility, I can't help but think of a communal thing to kind of promote and enhance and facilitate that type of responsibility.
So you talking about adults becoming able to respond. I'm talking about a system that is propagating people to be irresponsible in their actions, and it supports irresponsibility of your actions, except when it comes to dumb shit like running red lights. You know what I'm saying? When you do a traffic violation, there is an immediate penalty. They don't give you a break. They don't give you another, most of the time they don't give you another chance. Don't pay that child support. You know what I'm saying? They coming to get you. But go ahead, make as many babies as you want. Bring other people into this world that you are not going to be responsible for. You know what I'm saying? Because I agree with you. Human beings are social creatures. The only issue is the community is not taking responsibility for the children. The community is able to respond because we're able to get out and buy 40 ounces. We're able to get out and buy cigarettes. We're able to go to hookah bars. We're able to go to alcohol bars. We're able to buy the best shoes. We're able to buy rims. And this ain't just restricted to the black community. Motherfuckers are able to respond to the desires that the world puts on them. So why aren't we able to respond to the needs of taking care of these kids? I'm just saying, one time, it's a ooze. Second time, you get a warning. Third time, you on your own. How is it that you can have 3 kids by 3 different people and you're not in any type of relationship, communal aspect or whatever, where you can take care of them? Well, you have to depend on a system that is draining and sucking the blood out of its citizens.
Man, so what I was thinking at first is I remember seeing this lady. I don't know if she was a news anchor or reporter, or if just maybe a community. She was obviously some person that was recognized in the community. She made a statement about I think she said her words were, the children belong to the community, or the children are the responsibility of the community. And she got a lot of backlash from some other reporters that kind of was saying, my kids are my kids, you know. And that's kind of contrary to a lot of ancient tribal type of understanding or beliefs that say, you know, that is exactly what it is that the children belong to the community. But if there's a lot of pushback from like society or like institutional constructs saying that, you know, the parent is responsible for the children and anything outside of that is outside of that, that's kind of conflicting, I think, with what the community that we're speaking about kind of needs to repair itself. Also, I'm thinking, matter of fact, go ahead, you was about to say something.
I was going to say, I challenge you to show me a community. Especially when it comes to black folks. I challenge you to point out a community. Because I agree with you. In tribal tradition, in ancient traditions, the child belonged to the community. It belonged to the tribe. I dare you. I challenge you. I challenge anybody out there. Show me a community.
Well, I think, with that being said, I think the main issue that needs to be attacked in the black community right now is the child support system. How we talked, I'm thinking of it from a different perspective. I'm thinking of it how the woman automatically, by default, gets rights in custody, 100% custody rights, to where the father can't even come and take the child at any point in time to spend time with his child unless she gives consent or unless there's a court-ordered agreement. And that's something that has to be done at best. Like if the child is born and there's a disagreement and you file the day the child is born, you're not likely to get seen for 3 to 4 months. So, you know, if the mother is unwilling to let the father in the child's life, that's 4 months, and those 4 months count. You hear a lot of times you can make that time up, but time is the one thing, the one resource that you can never get back. You know, in those first 4 months, whatever, that counts.
Now, I agree with you, but the one thing that most of us could do is, if we having babies, why not get married so you can solidify your right? Or why not have an agreement? There's legal agreements that you could probably sculpt with one of these free lawyers out here. You could do things to protect your interests if you are interested in seeing your child. There's certain ways that you can protect yourself. Being able to respond. You know what I'm saying? Stop going off on some fluke bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So the point that I'm trying to, the only thing that I'm saying is, when are we gonna stop paying? When we gonna stop paying and start making people responsible for their decisions? Now with that, I'm gonna take a commercial break because I got some more guests coming in. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna play a tune for you from Orange 82, electronic music label. Check them out while we go on and get things together.
Yo, we back. And we was just during break. We was talking about this past week. It was a pretty significant, major week in hip hop. We had like 4 albums drop. Well, some people say 3. I say 4. Obviously, that Kanye, that Yeezus, J. Cole came out with his Born Sinner. Wale dropped that Gifted, I think it's called, The Gifted. And then Mac Miller, I'm throwing him on the list. I think he represented with his album. So it's called Watching Movies in Silent or something like that. So, oh.
You got the internet. Look that shit up, man. Hey, we up here guessing it. We got the internet. This is a live show, man. But yeah, like I said, it's emerging. Shit comes out. But hey, why don't you give me which one of those albums is the best for me? Because the last pick you did for me, because I'm old school and I like rap. I like hip hop. I want it to say something to me. And that last album you gave me by that boy, who was it around Christmas time? Huh? Kendrick Lamar. That shit brought tears to my eyes because it moved something in me because the artistic talent that he showed, the love of the art form came through that album and it touched me, man. I listened to that shit for damn near 3 weeks straight, and I suggested it to a lot of people, man, because because it touched me. So let me know, from your opinion, coming from the generation, maybe you might be 2 generations away from me or so, you know, with your young ass, which hip-hop artist should I listen to right now?
Well, I gotta start by talking about that Yeezus. You know what I mean? He had the most promotion. Everybody heard about it. He built the most anticipation. So, as far as I'm concerned, he missed. I said it. It's alright. Listen to it. But J. Cole, man, he came correct. He showed, like you said about that Kendrick. I ain't gonna put it on the same level of that Kendrick because that Kendrick was a once in a generation. That album was like, yeah, it was kind of magic. You know what I mean? But J. Cole, he represented. Before I say that, I'm gonna tell you a little situation I had the other day. I was on my homie's porch. We was sitting there just kind of chilling. Nobody wasn't saying too much. So I put my little iPhone on, started playing the J. Cole. We sitting there vibing. One of the homegirls on the porch was like, "Yo, who was that? I heard a couple of them songs before. It's kind of hot." I was like, "Yeah, that's J. Cole." This other chick was like, "Man, I don't like him. He don't be talking about nothing." So you got to hear the album and tell me if he don't be talking about nothing. And what's that saying about? Because I think there's a lot of people that would probably agree with her. He don't be talking about nothing. That might be their statement. So I want you to listen to that album and evaluate that statement.
Why don't you share with the audience what you thought he was talking about? Because I trust your judgment. When you gave me that Kendrick Lamar, I was touched. So I'm gonna touch you because if you gonna say what I think you're gonna say, that's another 30 minutes on the damn show.
Word. Let me see. I say, as far as I'm gonna just talk about the production and the lyrics. The production throughout was hot, and he used some samples. He used a couple samples. He used some concepts from some pretty significant artists, but he paid homage. He really paid homage. He let everybody know, yeah, I'm using this track because we all grew up on this shit, and it was the shit. And I'm reminding y'all that this shit was the shit, and I'm the shit right now. And then he spit on every track. On every track, he got something to say with some substance. He put it to you in a way that's entertaining as fuck. You know what I mean? He talk about a variety of... He uplifts people. He'll talk shit just like a regular nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here. I got love for you, but if you come at me wrong, you about to get shot. Hey, okay, I understand that. I want to hear that. I want to hear you say something uplifting too, and he do all of that. So, you know, big ups.
All right, cool. Since we talking about that, because you kind of hit on what I thought you was going to hit on. So the girl came up to you and said he don't be talking about nothing. So it's not considered to be talking about anything if you ain't talking about strippers, cash, and what? You know what I'm saying? The shit is just ridiculous, man. Listen, I can't even listen to I ain't even gonna say the station. I can't listen to regular radio stations anymore. Cause I'm put it like this, and if you think I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Every 5 minutes, there's either a song that's about blatant fucking or strippers. Strip club music, shit that you play for strippers. And this is what our kids is coming up on right now. This is what I'm talking about, going back to the beginning, with the responsibility shit. Where does the responsibility come in for what these hip-hop art or rap artists are saying? You know, because I got to distinguish between hip-hop and rap, even though rap is a child of hip-hop. When does the responsibility come in for what some of these people are saying and promoting to our young people? And then they brainwashing our kids to the point to where they will listen to somebody, as you said, that may be talking about some substance, like a Kendrick Lamar, or that one boy that did that song Bad Bitch. What's that? Who is that? Lupe Fiasco. They'll listen to that shit and be like, that shit, he ain't saying nothing. Is it some type of program that didn't hit with this music now that done shut our kids and some of these adults' brains totally off? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going back to your next, and that Yeezus shit, I ain't heard it. I like that one song about the revolutionary, and I'm kind of in agreement with this guy I seen on the internet. Since Kanye feel like he's the new slave, we ought to support Kanye 100% and not buy his album. Because we don't want him to be oppressed by having all this goddamn money. I can't remember the guy that said that, but that shit made a lot of sense. If he's so oppressed, we need to show Kanye all the love we can and not buy his album. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Kanye, I love your shit, man, but I want to help you. I'm suggesting that we just stop buying his shit because I want you to be happy. I want you to be able to be broke again and not have the responsibility of those Rolexes and all that gold and the white girls with the big asses. I want you to be free. So I'm not going to buy your shit.
I love the Lord, and I downloaded all that shit. I ain't buying nothing. But yo, I ain't as young as, you know, I'm a little young, but I was around, like, you remember, like, 2000, maybe around 99, when Wu-Tang dropped that album. He said, Wu-Tang, we going to teach the children. This going to be all the education you need this year on the W album, or the Wu, whatever the hell it was. He said, this going to be all the education you need this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I heard that back then, I was like, I don't know, even, I can't tell you when I really exactly had the thought throughout the years. I was like, this dumb motherfucker, like, you know what I'm saying? How is this album going to be all the education I need? But it might be all the education they receive. You know what I'm saying? Like, these entertainers really do got a responsibility, because a lot of the culture, all we have a lot of time is the culture. The school isn't necessarily designed, or it's absolutely not maybe designed to reach us. You know what I mean? So we want to be reached. People want to be reached. So if entertainment does the best job of reaching people, then that's where they're going to be touched. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about, can I make a transition right quick? Because it got on my mind. Your homegirl was on the stand for the Trayvon Martin case. Rest in peace. You know, you a martyr. We gonna do what we gotta do. But she said the way she was kind of received in some of the comments, and the way she was coming off was offensive on the first day of her trial. And she was asked to read a letter. And I don't know how much people been keeping up with it, but she wasn't able to read the letter because it was written in cursive, but it was her own words. And it was a couple different things that happened, scenarios that suggested that she was not as educated as she might need to be for her age. Just as, you know, her primary education is probably from her culture, which is probably a street culture. Especially, we heard one of the terms thrown around that was being questioned was Trayvon called the dude a creepy ass cracker. You know what I mean? So beyond all of that, just the language that she was able to use, it was not functional in this society, which is the predominant society where you're gonna get money. So that brings back the whole issue. It like brings it full circle, and it's slapping both sides in the face. It's slapping Zimmerman's case in the face because they can't necessarily. It's up to interpretation because they don't really understand what she said throughout the whole thing. But ultimately, I think it's slapping Trayvon's team or whatever, Zimmerman's accusers, however you say that shit, man. I'm not a legal expert, but it's weakening his case ultimately because the jury consists of 5 white women and absolutely no black people, and it's a good possibility that her demeanor turned them off to the point where her testimony might not amount to as much as it could or should.
Well, that whole case was, when you got an all-white jury, and in Florida, you're going to have some issues. She could have came speaking the King's English. You see what I'm saying? See, because now, that goes to, because now, one, that shows you, in many ways, the state of our education system. Because this young lady is about 17, 18 years old, and she has problem reading her own writing. Now, but then again, I take that back, because I'm 45 years old, and I can't read my own writing. Okay.
She didn't write it. Her friend wrote it. It was her words. She said the words to her friend, and her friend wrote it in cursive. And she said she can't read cursive.
Damn, so is Zimmerman on trial, or is the American education system on trial? You telling me that this 18-year-old black young woman can't read cursive? What does that say about America and responsibility? We back to the point, that responsibility. We let that shit slide. And then on top of that, one, that's a black eye on that's a white eye on the whole system. And it's a white eye for the community that she come from. Because we need to make sure that our children, you can't, listen, this is my experience. I have been able to teach myself almost everything because I knew how to read. If we don't teach our children how to do math, as black people, we could at least make sure our children know how to read and write, because if you can read and get understanding from what you read, you can solve any problem. I am surrounded by geniuses in my life who don't have the traditional education, but these motherfuckers can crack a motherfucking book and figure out time travel. I got a nigga that travels back in time. Now, he smokes a lot of weed, but he has a viable theory for time traveling. I have individuals who have learned martial arts out of books. I have individuals who have taught themselves how to program out of books. I got individuals who have taught themselves complicated mathematics out of books. And they don't have that much education, but they had enough to make sure they could read.
The thing about I'll say the American education system, any education system, or any like predominant culture of a society, it has a language, and if you have like subcultures and their language is subpar, they might have some brilliant ideas, but ultimately the way to make a brilliant idea come to fruition is to communicate it to other people, especially people with resources. And most of the time, people that have resources, or the type of people that are willing to invest resources in those type of ideas, revolutionary ideas, are people that might speak a different language.
Now, I agree with you on that point, but I'm going to say this. I am a child of hip-hop. I came up during hip-hop. We didn't have all the words, but we was able to write down the words that we did have. And we had something else. We had this thing called self-determination. Now, a lot of motherfuckers look at self-determination and just think that's about being able to push through shit. But when you look at the definition that is used in our community of self-determination, it's the ability to define. So we was able to create words that would express what we felt. And motherfuckers will get the emotional intent behind that. Hip-hop is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Multi-billion dollars made from ghetto youth who might have not been able to do math, but they could read and they could write. Some of them motherfuckers could do artistic designs that's ridiculous. Others was able to sit down at a sewing machine. You even had some who was so dope with what they was able to do that they created this thing called a mixer so that they could have two records playing simultaneously. and have somebody rap up over top of that. That shit is creative, and that came from a culture of motherfuckers who had a desire to express themselves, who wanted to be heard. Now, I'm wondering if this generation right now want to be heard. I'm wondering if a lot of these motherfuckers want to be heard, and if they even want to hear.
We'll replace, I think something came through and replaced that self-determination, and that's personal communication devices. These damn cell phones and text language, that shit don't transfer to real life, but people love the text, man. I'm talking about young people. They do not want to talk. They want to text, and I don't think they want to be heard.
Well, I mean, as a young person, I want you to think about this. As a young person yourself, if you living with your mom and you trying to hook up that pussy stop, excuse my language, you don't want your mom to understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? These kids, we look at that shit and be like, that's, we need to make sure that they're able to communicate. They need to be bilingual, in some cases trilingual, because those are languages. What we have to get them to be able to do is to understand that they can do all those languages. Because now, studies have shown that if you take a child, you put him in a house where they speak English and Spanish, that child will grow up and be able to speak English and Spanish. And if you immerse that child in the third language and a fourth language, that child, before he is able to leave a house and go to a public education system, will be able to speak all the languages that you have exposed him to. So all we got to do is make sure that our children can translate those ideas from language to language. Because whether you call it ghetto speak, street language, or ebonics, you need to be able to talk that. Because if she talked properly where she's from, in her environment, she wouldn't be understood either. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you wouldn't be understood. Matter of fact, motherfuckers shut you out. Most of us shut people out when they start talking big speak. And in court, they got a whole nother language. Because like I was listening to, they was cross-examining a white dude who actually saw the fight. Now, he was coached. They said, well, did you say that you heard the punches? He said, yes. He said, did it sound like this? Pop, pop. He said, I didn't say it sounded like that. Did it sound like this? I didn't say it sounded like that. You said that you thought that the person that was screaming for help was Zimmerman. He says, I said, I think the person that was calling for help was Zimmerman. He was coached. Now my question is, for the people that's fighting for Trayvon Martin and fighting for that justice, why they didn't sit that girl down before she read that letter? Why they didn't sit that girl down and prepare her for when that other party was going to be attacking her? Because that's what court is about. It ain't about finding justice. It's about being able to speak the language of the court and make that shit work for you. You don't believe me? Understand why white folks hate OJ up to this day. Because he had a brother who could go into that courtroom and manipulate that language to a point to where if it don't fit, you must acquit. Now, he talked all the legal shit. He talked all the legal language. Then he got black on it. If it don't fit, you must acquit. Here.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you on that. Hey, that's a good... Damn it. Okay, I guess we out. Well, thanks for listening. Y'all know who I am. It's Quasi Low, a.k.a. Quasi Lamar, a.k.a. always going too damn far. We about to do it again.
And this brother Hatim, I love the fact that y'all take time to listen. And listen, check this out. There's only a couple of rules on this show. You can't cuss more than I cuss. You can't get more raunchier than I get. And you welcome to be a guest. Now, I'm just messing with y'all. Thank you for listening. And I will see y'all next week sometime. Because, you know, this is a guerrilla show. We only are able to do certain things at certain times. So with that, I say peace. And y'all have a great evening.